We spend much of our lives believing happiness is something to reach, like a finish line waiting just beyond the next success, the next milestone, the next version of ourselves. We are taught to chase it, to run faster, aim higher, do more. Every plan, every goal, every hope seems to carry the same hidden promise. Once I get there, then I'll be happy. But there keeps moving. Every time we achieve something, the feeling fades quicker than we expected. The excitement that once filled us turns into silence. So we set another goal, find another reason to run. We call this progress, but often it's just another loop, a cycle of chasing something that refuses to stay still. We tell ourselves we'll rest once we're satisfied, but satisfaction never settles. It keeps changing shape. We compare ourselves to others, imagining they've already found what we're still looking for. But even those who seem happy are often searching too, quietly, endlessly, behind the same smile. It's not that happiness is wrong. It's that we've mistaken it for something it isn't. Happiness is not a destination. It's a moment, a visitor. It comes when it wants to, and it leaves when it must. But we treat it like a permanent home we can build and live inside forever, so we chase it harder, hoping to make it stay. And the more we chase, the more it escapes us. Because chasing happiness is like trying to hold sunlight in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. The truth is, happiness was never meant to be captured. It was meant to be noticed, and then released. What truly exhausts us isn't the lack of happiness, but the endless pursuit of it. We fill every silence with noise, every stillness with motion, because we fear what might appear when the chase stops. We fear the quiet, the emptiness, the questions waiting there. But those questions are not our enemies. They are the doorway to meaning. The moment we stop running long enough to face them, something inside us shifts. The chase slows, the noise softens, and we begin to realize, maybe happiness isn't what we were meant to find. Maybe what we were meant to discover is the deeper peace that comes when we stop running. Because the search for happiness is endless, but the search for meaning leads us home. From the moment we're young, we're told that happiness is the goal, that to live a good life means to feel good. Always smiling, always rising, always winning. We learn to measure our worth by how positive we appear, as if sadness, confusion, or boredom are signs of something gone wrong. But this idea, the constant pursuit of feeling good, quietly turns into a trap. Because when happiness becomes an obligation, every other emotion becomes an enemy. We start to fear anything that doesn't feel pleasant. We hide our pain behind polite words, forced smiles, and distractions. We pretend everything is fine, even when it isn't, because somewhere along the way, we began to believe that being human means being happy. The truth is, no one can stay happy all the time. Life doesn't work that way. There are ups and downs, calm days and storms, moments of joy and moments of doubt. But we live in a world that treats unhappiness like a problem to be solved. If we feel empty, we're told to fix it. If we feel sad, we're told to escape it. If we feel lost, we're told to distract ourselves until it passes. We chase constant pleasure and call it growth. We fill every gap in our day with noise, scrolling, planning, consuming, anything that keeps us from sitting quietly with our own thoughts. But in doing so, we trade depth for comfort. We build lives full of stimulation, but lacking substance. This obsession with feeling good all the time leaves us fragile. Because the moment pain returns, and it always does, we don't know what to do with it. We panic. We resist. We try to push it away. but what we resist only grows stronger. And in our fight to stay happy, we lose the ability to be real. Carl Jung once suggested that the things we refuse to face within ourselves don't disappear. They simply wait, and the more we avoid them, the more they shape us from the shadows. When we only accept the parts of ourselves that look happy or successful, we become split, disconnected from our full humanity. The constant chase for happiness is not freedom. It's a kind of quiet pressure. It makes us act, speak, and even feel in ways that aren't truly ours. We begin to perform life instead of living it. We smile on the outside while growing tired on the inside. We lose the natural rhythm of being human, the balance between joy and struggle, light and shadow. True peace doesn't come from endless positivity. It comes from honesty, from allowing ourselves to feel everything without judgment, the excitement, the boredom, the grief, the hope. Because when we stop forcing happiness, something more real begins to appear. Not the thrill of constant pleasure, but a quieter sense of rightness, a grounded calm that says, "This is life, all of it, and I can stand inside it." The trap of constant happiness isn't that we want too much, it's that we expect too little from what life can be. Life was never meant to be perfect, it was meant to be whole. And wholeness allows space for everything, even the feelings we once tried so hard to escape. Carl Jung believed that the goal of life is not constant happiness, it's wholeness. At first, that might sound less exciting, maybe even less comforting, but wholeness is not about feeling good. It's about becoming real. It's about seeing yourself completely, the parts you admire and the parts you hide. Most of us live split in two. There's the person we show to the world, confident, capable, controlled. And then there's the person we keep inside, uncertain, afraid, imperfect. We try to protect that hidden side because we've been taught that weakness is failure, that doubt is dangerous, that sadness means something is wrong with us. Jung saw things differently. He believed that every part of us, light and dark, strong and fragile, belongs. He called this process of adopting the hidden parts individuation, the journey toward becoming whole. It's not about fixing yourself, but about understanding yourself. Not about chasing perfection, but about embracing truth. When we try to live only in the light, we cut ourselves off from the source of our own depth. We become shallow versions of ourselves, always pretending, always performing, trying to hold an image that feels clean and safe. But the parts we deny don't disappear. They wait in silence, pressing at the edges of our thoughts, appearing as anxiety, anger, or emptiness. The shadow, as Jung called it, is not evil. It's just unseen. It holds everything we've pushed away, our fears, our guilt, our pain, but also our strength, creativity, and authenticity. The moment we stop running from it, we begin to uncover who we truly are. Wholeness means saying yes to all of it, the pride and the shame, the calm and the chaos, the laughter and the tears, because only when you see the full picture can you live from the center of it. This journey toward wholeness isn't quick, and it's not comfortable. It asks you to look at yourself with honesty instead of judgment, to listen instead of escape. But as you do, something remarkable happens. The weight you've been carrying begins to lighten, not because the pain disappears, but because it finally has a place to belong. Happiness, when it returns, feels different. It's not a reward or a high. It's a quiet companion that walks beside meaning. And meaning grows naturally from knowing yourself fully. To Jung, The purpose of life wasn't to stay in the light, but to hold both the light and the dark and realize they were never separate. When you do that, life stops being a battle to feel good and becomes a process of becoming whole. And in that wholeness, you don't find perfection. You find peace. We often talk about happiness and meaning as if they are the same thing, but they move in very different directions. Happiness is about how you feel. Meaning is about why you live. Happiness is pleasant, bright, and fleeting. It comes in waves. A good moment, a kind word, a small success. It feels warm, but it doesn't stay. It depends on conditions, on how the day goes, what others say, or whether life is unfolding the way you hoped it would. Meaning is quieter. It doesn't shout. It doesn't sparkle. It roots itself deep inside you. It's what keeps you standing when everything else begins to fall apart. Meaning doesn't promise constant comfort. It gives you direction when comfort disappears. Happiness says, I want to feel good right now. Meaning says, I want to live in a way that matters. One is about emotion, the other is about purpose. Happiness makes life easier for a moment. Meaning makes life worth living even when it isn't easy. You can feel unhappy and still have meaning. You can feel joyless and still know that your life has depth. In fact, those who seek meaning often face pain, because to build something real, you must face what is difficult, not just what feels good. When you live only for happiness, life becomes fragile. It breaks the moment sadness arrives. But when you live for meaning, you begin to see that sadness has a place too, that even suffering can shape you, guide you, reveal something true. Meaning transforms pain into understanding, while happiness only tries to erase it. Think of happiness as the sunlight that brightens the day, and meaning as the sky that holds it. The sunlight will fade, but the sky remains. When happiness leaves, meaning stays. It stays when you're tired, when you're uncertain, when you're lost, whispering that life still has value, that your story still matters. Chasing happiness leads to constant comparison. Am I as happy as I should be? Why does everyone else seem better off? But pursuing meaning turns your attention inward. It asks, what am I doing that feels true to who I am? It asks, what gives my life weight and direction? And that question changes everything. Because when you live with meaning, happiness no longer needs to be chased. It visits naturally, like a quiet reward for living honestly. You stop measuring your life by how good you feel and start measuring it by how real you've become. Happiness fades, meaning endures, and when you build your life around meaning, you discover something deeper than pleasure. You discover peace. There comes a moment, quiet, unexpected, when the endless chase begins to lose its power, when you grow tired of pretending, tired of forcing yourself to feel something you don't. You stop running, not because you've given up, but because something in you whispers, there has to be another way. That moment is the turning point. It's where the search for happiness ends and the discovery of meaning begins. Acceptance is not surrender. It's not saying, this is all I'll ever have. It's saying, this is what's here right now, and I'm willing to see it. It's the courage to face life as it is, not as you wish it to be. Most of our suffering doesn't come from what happens to us. It comes from our fight against it. We resist sadness, we deny fear, we reject uncertainty. But the more we fight our emotions, the louder they become. We build walls to protect ourselves from pain, and those walls end up keeping us from peace. Acceptance doesn't mean liking everything that happens. It means allowing it to exist without running away. It means letting life unfold, even the difficult parts, and trusting that you can stand in the middle of it without breaking. When you begin to accept your emotions instead of judging them, you realize they were never enemies. They were messengers. Each feeling has something to tell you. Anger says a boundary has been crossed. Sadness says something mattered. Fear says something is uncertain. They are signals, not flaws. Jung believed that what we refuse to face within ourselves will control us from the shadows. But when we turn toward what we've been avoiding, it begins to lose its power. You can finally see it, understand it, and learn from it. And in that understanding, you start to heal. Acceptance transforms the way you live. You stop chasing constant pleasure and begin to move with life instead of against it. You start noticing the small things, the still moments that used to be drowned out by noise. You stop asking, "How can I be happy?" and start asking, "What is life trying to teach me right now?" Through acceptance, you discover strength that isn't loud or forced. It's quiet, steady, grounded. It's the kind of strength that allows you to breathe through uncertainty, to carry sadness without being defined by it, to let life be imperfect without feeling incomplete. And in that space, that still, honest space where nothing needs to be fixed or hidden, you begin to feel something new. Not the quick spark of happiness, but a deeper calm, a peace that doesn't depend on how good things are, but on how real you're willing to be. Acceptance is the door that meaning walks through, and once you open it, you realize that what you were chasing all along was never somewhere else. It was waiting right here in the life you already have. Every one of us wears a mask, not because we're false, but because we've learned to survive. We build it slowly over the years, out of habits, expectations, and fears. It's the version of ourselves we show to the world, the composed, capable, acceptable one. It helps us fit in. It helps us feel safe. But somewhere along the way, we begin to forget that the mask isn't who we truly are. Behind it lives another self, quieter, more honest, often uncertain. It's the part that feels deeply but stays silent, the part that wants to rest while the world keeps demanding more, the part that remembers who we were before we started performing. Carl Jung called the mask the persona, the face we wear to meet the expectations of others, and sometimes the expectations we've placed on ourselves. There's nothing wrong with having a persona. We need it to function, to communicate, to belong. But when we begin to believe that the mask is our identity, we lose contact with the living truth beneath it. We start to act instead of feel. We start to please instead of express. We speak carefully, afraid of being misunderstood. We smile when we're tired. We nod when we disagree. And slowly our real voice begins to fade behind the noise of who we think we should be. The mask protects us from rejection, but it also blocks connection. Because no one can truly see you while you're hiding behind what you think they want. And deep down, that's what hurts the most. To be surrounded by people who admire the mask, while the person beneath it feels invisible. Jung believed that healing begins when we stop identifying only with our surface, when we dare to turn inward and listen to what's been buried beneath appearances. That hidden self, fragile, imperfect, human, is not the enemy. It's the doorway to truth. Removing the mask doesn't mean exposing everything to everyone. It means being honest with yourself first. It means asking, what am I pretending to be? And what am I afraid people might see if I stop pretending? These are not easy questions, but they are the beginning of freedom. When you start to see the gap between the mask and the self, you begin to close it. You start speaking in your real voice, even if it trembles. You start choosing what feels true, even if it's uncomfortable. And for the first time, you begin to feel whole. Not perfect, not polished, but real. The world teaches us to decorate the mask, to make it more successful, more likable, more impressive. But life becomes lighter the moment we stop polishing the mask and start caring for the person behind it. Beneath the mask is not weakness, it's humanity. It's where your truth lives, where your emotions breathe, where meaning begins to grow. When you meet yourself there, you stop needing to chase happiness or approval, because finally, you are no longer performing. You are simply being. And that, being fully, honestly, quietly yourself, is where real peace begins. Living with meaning doesn't begin with a grand revelation. It begins with small, honest choices. The quiet decision to live truthfully, moment by moment, instead of endlessly chasing what looks good or feels good. Meaning isn't found in the extraordinary. It's found in the ordinary, in the way you speak, the way you work, the way you listen. It grows in silence, through attention, through intention. It lives wherever you decide to act with honesty instead of habit. To live with meaning is to ask yourself every day, what really matters to me? Not what should matter, not what others say is important, but what genuinely feels true inside. Because meaning begins where imitation ends. It's not about constant purpose or direction. Meaning doesn't need to be loud or dramatic. It's the quiet awareness that your actions and values belong to each other. That the way you live aligns with what you believe, even when no one is watching, even when life feels uncertain. Meaning often comes disguised as responsibility, patience, or care. It asks you to keep going when there's no instant reward. It asks for consistency instead of excitement. It grows stronger through difficulty because meaning is not about escaping struggle. It's about allowing struggle to shape you into someone deeper. Happiness asks, how can I feel good right now? Meaning asks, what's the right thing to do right now? Happiness is about comfort. Meaning is about truth. And truth sometimes hurts before it heals. To live with meaning, you must allow all your emotions a place at the table. Joy, sadness, anger, peace. They all belong. Because meaning is not built by avoiding your feelings. It's built by learning from them. When you listen to what each emotion is trying to tell you, you stop drifting and start understanding. You don't need to know your life's entire purpose. You only need to take the next honest step. Meaning isn't a destination. It's a direction. It's the compass you follow, not the treasure you find. Some days it feels clear. Other days it disappears completely. But even when it fades, it's still there, quietly guiding you beneath the noise. It shows up in moments of kindness, in the courage to admit when you're wrong, in the patience to keep trying when no one notices. Living with meaning doesn't make life easier, but it makes it worth living. Because meaning turns ordinary days into part of something larger. It turns struggle into growth, loneliness into understanding, and small moments into lasting truth. When you live with meaning, you stop asking life to make you happy. You start asking life to make you real. And the more real you become, the lighter happiness feels, not as a reward, but as a reflection of being aligned with who you are. Meaning doesn't demand perfection. It simply asks for presence. To be awake to your choices, your values, your life. to live not as someone chasing, but as someone becoming. And as you do, you realize you never needed to chase happiness at all. You only needed to live with meaning, and happiness quietly followed behind.